Here he is, the great Peter King. Pete, good morning, buddy. How are you?
Is this Jesus? Oh, Sid. How you doing, Sid? Good to hear.
I got to tell you, all seriousness, I'm only kidding about myself, but I love...
No, you're not.
Maybe I'm not. You're right. I'm not. Pete knows me too well. But I love the way the crowds react. We're walking in the street or going to an event. I've done a bunch with Bruce already. He's invited me to Cooperstown and other spots across the state. But they go nuts for this guy. They love him. They love him.
Yeah, Bruce has that intangible. I don't see anybody going nuts for Kathy Hochul. I'm serious about that. I mean, Bruce has that ability. And I go back to when he ran against Laura Curran, who actually was a very popular county executive. She had done a pretty decent job. And Bruce was down by 24 points in that race, and he won because he just kept going and going, making his case, not attacking the opponent, just making his case. And people love him. They really do. They're attracted to him. My daughter worked with him for years. They were both on the town board together. And she always said with Bruce, you can trust him. There's no malice in Bruce, but he's tough as can be. He's a great guy. Also, you mentioned Joe Cairo. I was with Joe all yesterday morning. And Joe doesn't drink, but if he did, I think he'd have to get, knowing he had an afternoon with you ahead of him. But in any event, Joe is, first of all, he's the best political leader in the country. And unlike you or I or even Bruce, he's the most mild-mannered guy. He's funny when he's in the room.
Yes.
He walks down the street, he's just calm.
He's quiet. He's very quiet.
Right, and you would never know there's the most powerful political leader in the United States, and he really is. He is the record. But anyway, you were down at the Harbor Light. I used to go there. Bernie Durham, the owner, was a great guy. A lot of firefighters were there. After 9/11, I was there quite a bit. And that just a great place. That, to me, the Harbor Light, Bell Harbor, that whole neighborhood, that, to me, constitutes what America is all about. That is the best of America right there. You're really living in like a Valhalla. That is great. Where you are, with those people around you, to me, it's just, it was always comforting, just going in there, talking to Bernie, talking to all his customers in there. Again, they are real people. And you mentioned the two Tom Sullivans you were talking about before. Tom Sullivan from Nassau County, salt of the earth. Tom Sullivan running for the Assembly. He won in 2022, I guess it was, and got robbed. And then
That's right.
He had a good race in 24. I think he's going to do it this year.
Me too.
That whole family, they're great. The brothers, are just, again, it's a great family. And that's what America is about, and that's what we have to fight for. And Bruce is going to, I think, he's going to win, and he's going to be a phenomenal governor.
Agreed.
And he's going to save the state.
Agreed. You know, my area, every house has American flags. Some have 3, and every street corner's got it, and it's very similar to yours. I remember the first time I really got to know your area well was when you and your beautiful wife, Rosemary, were kind enough to invite me and Danielle to the Jonathan Diller funeral. What a sad day that was. But I remember all your neighbors walking out into the street with sandwiches and water and soda for all the folks that were going to the funeral. And there were American flags. I know it makes Sonny Hostin uncomfortable, a traitor. But on a serious note, there are American flags everywhere. So my neighborhood, your neighborhood, very similar. And you talk about Harbor Light. You know this, Pete. You mentioned 9/11. 2 months after that, the plane crashed right across the street.
And it actually wrecked the Harbor Light. They were out of business for a while. They had to rebuild it.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
That was a rough time for my community. I wasn't living there at the time. But I do want to get to 9/11, though, because I know you listen every day, and you heard yesterday Giovanni Galante on this show. When he came on, they had about 15,000 signatures on this petition to keep that creep, that anti-American, anti-Semite jihad mayor away from that site. Now it's up to about 45,000 since he came on the show yesterday. Still not nearly enough. I want that thing close to 1 million by the time it's said and done. Maybe it gets there, maybe it doesn't. But I got to think, Peter King, that you're on the same page as me. You don't want this mayor anywhere near that sacred site, right?
Yeah, actually, I have 2 thoughts. One, absolutely, he does not belong there. He should not be there. I mean, I was there with President Bush right after 9/11. I was down there so many times after that. I was close to so many families. To me, that was my main cause, if you will, in Congress, fighting for 9/11 health care, fighting to get the money for the cops and firefighters. All of that is so important, and he has no business being anywhere near ground zero on 9/11. My only concern, Sid, is I don't want this to become about him. I don't even want his name mentioned on 9/11. So he, just like with Netanyahu, how he had this phony thing, he knew he could never arrest him, but he got 2 weeks in the news cycle. It was all about Mamdani. Sure. So that's the only concern I have going forward on this. But no, he does not belong there. People should tell me he doesn't belong there. I just hope that whatever happens is over before 9/11. That whole day, he should not even be mentioned. To me, that's a sacred day. There's just nothing to me in our history, certainly on the American homeland, compares to 9/11 and the suffering that goes on today. There are still people suffering today. Every week you hear somebody dying from 9/11 illness and others being treated for it. There's thousands and thousands of people still suffering, besides the incredible suffering that those 9/11 families have gone through over the years. And again, I know many of them well. I'll be with one of them this weekend out in the Hamptons, and that's the only time I go to the Hamptons. So, like, you know, I'm like you, by the way.
I know you are. And, you bring up all the work you've done, and I have to keep bringing it up every time you mention it because, God, you're such a great American. So on the 12th, I'm going to host this big event at the theater for the pipes and drums for all the cops. It's a big deal, very big deal. The 11th is that big day. But the 10th, your friend Jon Stewart, who refers to me as Thanos, Jon Stewart and Pete Davidson, who lost his father on 9/11. They're holding a big event at Madison Square Garden. And I always give Jon Stewart credit because he did a great job along with you and others in making sure these 9/11 families get money forever. I know I asked you about this a week or two ago, but it's worth repeating. Where are we exactly in that process?
We are doing as well as we possibly could right now. There is enough money in there to have full examinations of everyone who's down at ground zero. That's important. Anyone, even to this day, if you were anywhere near ground zero, please go in. You're entitled to get free health care checkup because there are illnesses you could have that you don't even know about that get detected later on. So get that initial checkup so it's on record and go forward. They have special doctors who treat 9/11 patients, who are able to detect diseases, treat the patients, and now there's enough money in the fund, finally, that'll last to the end of the century. It took us about 8 years to even get the bill through, which I found so infuriating in the first place. And then we put money in. Each time money was put in there is what the accountant said was enough to cover all potential victims. We had no idea how many people were going to come down with 9/11 illnesses 10, 15 years after 9/11. There were these rare blood diseases, disorders, and there's other cases now we're working on. We're trying to get them approved as far as being related to 9/11 because they're like these 1 in a million illnesses that people are getting who are down there. So, no, we are in excellent, God, I say excellent shape. We're in excellent fiscal shape. We're in excellent shape as far as providing the care. But the people who are suffering from those illnesses are not in great shape, but they will be kept alive and treated. And hopefully also many illnesses will be detected before it's too late.
You've gone down to Washington, D.C. more than once over the last couple of years, Pete King. And they were talking about China and Russia and Hamas and Iran, all these enemies that are trying to destroy America. Okay, America first, not Israel, America. But you keep reminding people that, hey, we've got an issue right here. You believe that Hezbollah, for example, is here. You believe that other terror groups are here. And you have said more than once on this show that you would not be surprised, maybe you even expect another major attack right here in New York and in this country. Do you still feel that way?
Yeah, and first of all, I hope it never happens. So I hope I'm not proven right. Okay, let me just say that clearly up front. But no, and that's why out in Nassau County, for instance, I'm involved in advising on terror issues, and this is real. I mean, there's a real terror threat. It's there now because Al-Qaeda is still there, ISIS is still there, and they have all these self-starters, these lone wolves, and in many ways they are better organized than they were on September 10th.
But let me stop you for 1 second. You're right. Because people say to me, well, what are they waiting for? It's 25 years since the big one. And there's been some other attacks here, obviously, the driver on the West Side Highway years ago. And there's been some stuff. But what are they waiting for? And I say, well, hold on a second, okay? If you talk to Jessica Tisch or you talk to the FBI or even talk to Ray Kelly, they have thwarted attempts time and time again. They don't tell you every time somebody parks a truck outside in Times Square ready to blow up a whole block. But that happens all the time, yes?
It happens quite a bit, and certainly just under Ray Kelly alone, I believe they stopped like 17, 18 potential attacks, including blowing up the Brooklyn Bridge, the New York City subway system. I mean, I was actually with Ray Kelly when there was liquid explosives coming in from Colorado to blow up the New York City subway system. That would have been absolutely catastrophic. It was stopped right near the end. They were following these guys coming in because they wanted to wait until they got here, only because they wanted to find who else was involved. But they were afraid they might have waited too long. I remember that was the only time I ever saw Ray Kelly ever show any concern, to make sure that they didn't wait too long before they apprehended these guys. And that was that. Let me just say on that, too. They had one imam that the police thought they could trust, and they asked him for information about someone. He was the guy who tipped them off. The one guy they thought they could count on tipped off the other plotters to get away. So
wow.
That also shaped a lot of my thinking about who we can trust and not trust in that community. But no, as far as it's there, and what's different too between now and 9/11 is that we are coordinated all around the world. Even when we have hard feelings with them, we work closely with French intelligence, British intelligence. German intelligence is 50-50. Some of it's good, some of it's not. And also countries like Jordan. Jordan is phenomenal. Egypt is very good. Obviously, Israel is a phenomenal ally in this. So they could not have been able to do a 9/11 plot the way they did. Yeah, they were meeting all over Europe. They're meeting in Germany. They're meeting here. They're meeting there. And ISIS Al-Qaeda was able to coordinate. They couldn't do that today. But they've also gone underground. They've adapted. So, no, we have to worry about them. We be concerned about them. And there are any number of plots that are being stopped. A lot are being stopped overseas. And when they say overseas, the NYPD, they have people working overseas with these various governments. So we hear about it, we stop it, or they stop. I'm not involved anymore like that. But, I mean, it's actually stopped. And so there's any number of plots have been stopped, both here in New York and in Europe, and actually in the Middle East also, and planning on coming here. But we can never, ever let our guard down. They have a long view of history. I mean, remember, it was a long time. It was the first World Trade Center attack was 1993. The next one was 2001. That was 8 years, and we were really unprepared then. We were not ready, did not anticipate how severe that could be and how well organized and determined Al-Qaeda was.
Last one, I'd be remiss not to cover this with you because you know this as well as anybody. Zelensky at the White House yesterday, and it's nice that him and Trump get along better, and Trump now actually goes out of his way to compliment the Ukrainian people and their military and Zelensky. But watching yesterday and reading and paying very, very close attention, I didn't get the feeling that when Zelensky was done with Trump, that we are anywhere closer to ending this war between Russia and Ukraine. In fact, I don't think Putin is going to sit down with Zelensky anytime soon, and I don't think anyone can convince Putin, no matter what, to stop doing what he's doing. But you're the expert here. What do you think?
Well, I'm no expert, but I would say the main thing was from that is Zelensky still has the approval to go ahead with Patriot missiles. In fact, he met with Lockheed yesterday, and that's been authorized and okayed by President Trump. That is significant. And what Zelensky has done, what they've done as far as perfecting drone warfare is phenomenal. If they get the Patriots, because really all Russia has left are these missiles coming in, and because they're running out. They're using North Koreans, they're using Africans, everyone in the Russian army, so depleted. And so if they can get the Patriot missile system set up in Ukraine, and Zelensky is able to penetrate far into Russia with the Patriot missiles, now he's not going to win the war to that extent. But if they can stop Russia, as Russia realizes it's time to come, give them some sort of a fig leaf, give Russia some small part of Ukraine that's incidental, and call out a compromise. But I think right now it's no win really for both sides, but Ukraine cannot surrender at all. If they give up anything, if this ends and Russia has the upper hand, they will be slaughtering Ukrainians for the next 20 years.
I agree. Pete King, that is an unbelievable appearance, man. You're great every week, but this one was right near the very, very top. As always, I love you. Thank you so much. Great job.
I'll see you at the Harbor Light. We got to go to the Harbor Light one night.
Yeah, you should come for sure. Lou will come with us, too.
I
Lou
love
lives
that
there.
place.
Yeah, me too. Sean does a great job, and you knew Bernie, of course. No, Bernie, I should say. So, yeah, let's do that one time, Peter King. Let's do it. I love you. Thank you.
You're the man. Thanks, Jay.
You are too. Pete King right there, the former amazing congressman. He's done so much for this country, too, post 9/11. He's a real hero when it comes to that stuff. I can't emphasize that enough. And you guys know how much 9/11 means to me.
Thanks for listening to Sid and Friends in the Morning. You can hear Sid and Friends in the Morning weekday mornings at 6. If you like the podcast, share it with your friends and listen anytime at WABCRadio.com and download the WABC Radio app. Hit that subscribe button on all major podcast platforms. Plus, follow WABC on social on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and X. See you next time for a new episode so you never have to wonder.
What the heck is going on here?